this is a lot of colors. I actually don't recommend people to start out at this many colors. I started out with a set of 12. This little set was my very first watercolor set, the Winsor & Newton Cotman sketch set, and it's only got 12 colors. Well, 11, because I don't know why they put white in. I never use white watercolor, and that was really nice to start out with, because it forces you to get to know your colors. Because if you're here, you sometimes wonder, where should I start? Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at tonight. I tried to get a feel of who has what watercolors, but the question disappeared initially in the form. So you're welcome to pop in the comments what you have. I know there's everything from your checkers, hard round watercolor set to Pre-May, I think, Montmartre, everything. And whatever you have, we're going to be doing something that you'll get to learn something from them. All right, move these things aside. Just going to get my sketchbook. Packing away so that I can pretend I have a neat workspace, which usually isn't the case. Okay, I'm putting my colors to the side. I'm going to pass me that. Okay. Do you guys want to pop 1 or 2 questions that we can just try? We just want to try one thing with the rotation on the video when I'm painting. So if you're welcome to pop a question in the chat, and we're just quickly going to see if we can do that. You guys still good so far? Quickly give me a thumbs up. Let's start my video again. Base brushes, Danya. Hello. Okay, so I'll show you guys in a bit. I wonder if I can show you here. This is a cheap brush. It's got a maroon handle, and it says Golden Taklon is the brush. Here's here. And I get them either from Gymnette or Archneer. I actually got them more easily from Archneer. And this one is 23 bucks. I still use this one often. The only brush that I found in the meantime that I'm really happy with is a Princeton Snap, which is also a synthetic brush, and it was 124 Rand for the same size. So this one is really nice because it holds more paint, and the tip is even finer than the cheap brush. But I must say, the cheap one, I still often default to it. So you can, they call this artist board or artist materials. It's like a no-name brand. I know Prime Arts also has a cheapish Golden Taklon one. My husband's amazing. He fixed the rotation, so I'll move back there just now. Yeah, Desiree, Gymnette is 5 or 7 minutes from my house. So yes, they're the easiest to go to. I know a couple of the helpers there by name. But Archneer and Pretoria is also really great. Outside of Pretoria, I'm not quite sure. I know from Marita, the P&A and Centurion seem pretty good. But yeah, a lot of online suppliers are also very good. So I'll pop you guys an email with all those links afterwards. Pens and stuff, I'll show you guys as we go along. I use Pigma Micron Dion a lot, but I've recently bought this Lamy Safari fountain pen, which was a bit of an investment, but it's amazing. You just have to get waterproof ink for it. So we can chat about that. Quickly checking this last question, then I'm moving over. Yes, Herbert Evans. Thanks, Nicole. My friend buys there a lot, and I think there's a Shop Eves as well, which is a smaller family-run business. So that's great. Pop your suggestions in there because I obviously don't know all the areas. Cool. Pans or tubes? Right, so if you have tubes, I recommend that you squeeze them out and you let them dry. The reason for this is you really waste your paint if you use it wet and you're not working on a big painting, and by big I mean A2 or A1. The tubes are nice if you have to mix up a large amount of paint because it's very quick to squeeze something out and mix it up. But depends on your preference. For what I work with, I don't go past A3, and I really feel like I want to squeeze out from the tubes. Also, if you have artist grade paint, even the pans that are hard activate a lot more easily than your Cotmans would. So the Cotmans you have to work more to get color from, where the White Knights picks up color really quickly. Painting color clean, I'll show you my palette and you can tell me if you think I keep it clean. I'm switching over quickly. See you guys in a sec. Switch this to a clean page. Okay, groovy. Not clean. There we go. Okay, so I'm quickly going to show you guys my paints, and no, they're not completely clean. It is ideal, and this is why we have 2 jars of water so we can clean our brush. I'm going to show you guys the supplies just now, but if you are stuck with the colors being messed up like that, you can just use some water, wet it with a brush and rinse that dirty color off in your jar, and then start using the clean color. Yes, I'll have my husband mark that question. Okay, so did that answer? So you can be very pedantic about keeping your colors clean. It is easier because then if you pick something up and you were going for yellow, you're not going to pick up green because you were mixing on the palette, but that is the way to clean it. All right, so I've got a spray bottle. It's just a really nice way to wet your paint. When you wet your pans, it reactivates your paint, even if you've got tubes that's squeezed out and dried. So I just quickly give them a squirt. Like that, and you'll see, I don't know if you can see on the video, but they're nice and shiny, like that. And I'm actually going to start you guys off with a very dark color. Let's go for a nice purple. Now we're going to work from dark to light. Typically when you're painting with watercolor, you're going to start with your lightest layers first and then work darker, because watercolor is transparent and you can't work a lot of white over watercolor unless you use a different medium. You can use like a white pen, white gouache, white acrylic. That's your options for white. But what we want to do tonight is to get a feel for using water as our white. So you'll be seeing that I've got 2 water jars, just to explain that quickly. I'm going to rinse my dirty brush in the one jar and pick up clean water from the other jar. And that, on the question about keeping your paints clean, you would very pedantically rinse your brush and even wipe it in between on your paper towel, which is why we had that. You can see mine is dirty, but you can reuse it. So if you clean your brush, you just wipe it and it takes the excess water off of your brush. So you'll see me doing that. So at the moment my jars are clean, so I'll let's see if I can put them in the shot for you guys so you can see. There's the one, just so that you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm moving my coffee because an artist's problem is dipping your paintbrush into your coffee instead of your water. Give me a thumbs up if you've done that before. It's a common problem. So, all right, I'm picking up my color there. And because it's wet, I'm going to pick up a lot of color here. You're going to get used to the feel of your paint for how much you need to work it before you pick up your colors. And you're going to see when I put it on the page, it's going to be fairly dark. That's probably going to look almost black on the screen there. But because this is still wet, I can show you. I'm going to rinse in my dirty jar. I wipe, and then I pick up more water. And because it's still wet, I can add my water there and let it flow down. And this is always my favorite part. If you feel you wanted to pick up more of that color, you can work your brush up a little bit into the pigment, because as long as your page is wet, you can move that pigment down. And this is how you would do a gradiated wash even, but we're just doing this for swatches now. And you can see how beautifully that color comes in. So you guys are welcome to try that along with me. And don't stress if you don't get this right the first time. The thing that I want you to focus on is to try and get your darkest dark, like there at the top, and to move it to the lightest light. So if you feel it didn't do that initially, use the same color and do that again. You'll notice that different pigments have different ranges of darkness. So I'm going to show you another dark one first, which would be, I think this is my Payne's Gray. Picking up a nice amount of pigment. Sometimes I can feel it's quite thick on my brush, so I just dunk it in a bit of water again. And again, you're going to see this looks almost black. And I can, if I don't clean my brush in between, I just want to show you, then it's more gradual, the effect. But for me, for the swatches, I like having a bit more of a quick effect. So I'm going to rinse my brush now and take it down. And I want you guys to notice the paint is only going where I've put water. So a lot of people tell me they're scared of watercolor, they feel out of control. You control the movement of the paint with where you put your water. Unless I blow on this with a hairdryer or put a lot of water, the paint is going to stay only in that area where I added water. And I can tell where that water is by looking at the sheen on the page. If you see I tilt my page like that, you'll see they're still wet. And that's how I know where paint is. So this is my, I think it's either my Payne's Grey or my black. My Payne's Grey was elsewhere. I don't use this palette that much. I use this is my go-to favorite colors, but I wanted to specifically work with my other palette tonight so you guys can see me getting to know some colors as well. So this is black. Now I want to show you a color that's very light in its range. So you can see even here, going from the black to the light, that's a really, really light color. I think even the lightest shade is not showing up on the camera. You can see if we lift that up a bit, you can see how wild that range is, how far it goes. And I'm going to use a color called Cerulean Blue, which is a very nice light sky color, but it doesn't actually go very dark. So this is what you get to know about your colors, is what is its darkest dark and what is its lightest value, and is there a big range between it? You can see I've picked up a lot of color, but already it's quite light. I'm rinsing my brush. You can see this water is starting to color already, and that's fine because this is clean. We're keeping our paint clean. If our other water gets too dirty, it will start to affect the color eventually. It takes a while and depends on how big your jar is. And I'm moving this down, and you can see even from the length of the strips, it's a lot shorter before I start going to that lightest light. So there's a lot less variation in this color, which is fine. You just want to know the qualities of your color. For example, another blue next to it would look like, let's pick up a couple more. So even there, I haven't picked up the darkest part of it yet. But you can see the intensity of the color is different. But what I want to show you just on these blues is how the lightest color can be similar to the cerulean. If I tilt my page up, just note how that color is moving. So that's also a way to mix your colors and to have a different effect on the page. But if you look at these two colors, the blues in its lightest value is almost the same. You can create a beautiful sky with both of them, but I'm going to have a bigger range of values with this color than with the cerulean blue. But sometimes this one is nice too. So it's purely personal preference. And that's a process that you would do with all of your colors. I have 36 and we want to get to other colors still. So I'm not going to do all of them. I want to start showing you guys what we do. Just looking for my notes. With two colors and how those two colors mix together. So I'll show you guys the color mixing chart in just a bit. But what's a fun exercise to do is to pick your colors that you use the least. So I'm going to show you how do I know which ones I use the least. Is you see those holes there? Those are my favorite paints. Okay, I don't know if you can see them. Let's try that again. You can kind of see there's a big hole. My toddler told me the other day this one's broken because it's almost empty. So I'm going to pick, this is emerald green, a color that I'm not fond of because it can seem very plastic. I'm going to pick that one, and I'm going to pick purple because it's also one that's very bright and very intense. So I don't use them often. So I'm quickly going to swatch out the emerald that you guys can see. Picking it up. And if you're struggling to pick up enough color with your brush, instead of just using the tip, use the belly part. This is the thick part of your brush because it's got more room. So in this palette, I don't have a lot of room for that, but you can work it a little bit more if you feel you're struggling to pick up color. So I'm going to have a lot of color on here now. I'm switching to a second row so I can show you the two colors. Yeah, so you can see I don't know about you guys, but it's quite it is emerald, but in the type of landscapes and stuff that I paint, this isn't a naturally occurring green. It's not something that I would see on a tree or whatever. You want to add a different color to it to make it more realistic. And I think this is a great tip for you guys with the cheaper sets as well. And it was something that I often battled with, is a lot of the cheaper sets feel like they've got this plastic color. Even your sap green is typically a beautiful green, but it just seems off somehow. So here's going to come a tip that you can use those colors in a way that make them seem more realistic. And that is to mix them with something else. Now in this case, I'm going to use purple and see what these two colors do. But for a green, you typically want to add a little bit of a red, because that is the complementary color on the color wheel. And what that's going to do is it's going to tone it down just a little bit. So I'll demonstrate that as well. I'll show you this green with the purple, which is just a random color that I chose. And then I'll show you the color with the red. And it's literally just looking at your color wheel and taking the opposite color. I'll just show you my color wheel quickly. I've just got these printouts on my handy and smudged my paint, but that's fine. So just to show you what I'm talking about is here's green, and on the opposite is actually pink, to be very strict about it, but red, yellow and blue mix green, so the remaining primary color is typically red. So that's the shortcut to mute down your colors. So if you feel that your affordable set of paint is too plastic and doesn't look like the right color, try searching for its opposite on the color wheel and adding a touch of that, even if you have to add one or two colors just a little bit, and see what it does. Okay, so let's add our purple. We've got that. I just want to, for my sketchbooks, I like adding a reminder like this. I'm going to mix these two colors together. So that's one way of doing them. I'm cleaning my brush in a way that's splattering my page. So beware. I usually have the water on that side because I know I'm right-handed. So let's swatch that out again quickly. And if you guys are battling with the swatches, you can pop it in the chat, and before we move over to the next section, I can maybe quickly troubleshoot for you. So if you feel like it's not coming out the way you want it, please feel free to quickly pop a message to Sean, and we'll see what we can do about it. So a nice way, I'm going to now swatch in the horizontal. It's just easier for the movement of my brush. It's my preference. You can also do it in the vertical. I pick up the color from my palette, and instead of now fading it out with water, I'm going to put the second color that we picked on the other side, and I'm going to work the two together and blend them on the page. Now, immediately the thing to note is that the purple dominates the green. So that's something with the white knights. But as I pick up more green and I start to mix it in the middle, you can see the color changing. Now, what I like to do is I take my brush, there's color on my brush, and that's the strips you guys saw earlier on my examples, is I swatch out the color. You can see there's kind of like this gorgeous sea blue green color. And you can now play around with adding different amounts of the two colors that we're mixing. So I'm picking up just a little bit more green here, mixing it into another block, and then I can see the variations that I can get from these two colors. And immediately, this is my struggle with the purple. A lot of you guys saying you're battling with too dark. You get used to what the pigment of the paint is if you use it often, and then to just be lighter with your brush when you pick it up. Okay, so that's a good question about asking the water level. I'll talk about drying time just now. The amount of water on my brush, I typically pick up some water. I do this, I dab it against the side, so you'll see some droplets coming off. A good way to know whether there's the right amount of water or paint on your brush is you'll see that it glistens, it's shiny, but it shouldn't have any water on the tip of the brush. And if you shake it, there shouldn't be water or paint coming off easily. You can even, if you're worried, just give it a quick dab on your paper towel. But this is something that you're going to get used to with practice. And that's where these swatches on a cheap sketch pad is really great, because you're going to do one swatch and you're going to see, oh, it's too light, I picked up too little paint, or I picked up too much water. But that's the basic starting point of how much water to have on your brush. And the same with drying times. There's a Skillshare class that I watched once that she actually does timers, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. And it's very interesting to see the effect of the paint, because it's going to be different how the paint blends. But the best rule of thumb is, if you pick up your page, you'll see these ones, they're not shiny anymore. And you'll see, let's see if I can trigger, there you go. The bottom strips are still shiny when I tilt them. So that's how you know it's wet. It's dry and it's wet. I don't want to touch this with my finger because we've got oil on our hands, and the oil and water don't mix together. So if I put my hand on the paper, it might affect where the paint goes, and it will change the way the paint spreads on the paper. So you can do this with quite a few variations of color. A fun exercise to challenge yourself with is to see how many blocks of color you can get out of 2 mixes like that. When I'm done here, I can show you the examples again. Way too much water. There's what you can do, a quick tip I'll quickly show you. If you have too much water, let me take too much paint. That's a great question. If you have too much going on there and it's really pooling and it's moving around, you can either really dry your brush. So you're going to dry your brush on your paper towel there, and voila, that's like your magic eraser. I'm picking up, then I rinse off the color that I just picked up, first in the dirty jar, then in the clean jar, and I can go in and I can pick up more paint like that. Or if I had another wet layer, I'm not going to do that now, but you can put the edge of your paper towel next to that dam of paint or that dam of water, and it's going to go right into your paper towel. So either put a dry brush gently next to that area, and it's going to, or then use your paper towel and dab it. A quick tip also, if you're in a hurry or just impatient painting like I often am, I like to use a hairdryer. I bought a little travel version from Takealot ages ago that's at my desk, that I quickly, just on the low setting, dry the layer on my painting if I know I want to go on to the next layer. Okay, I quickly want to show you guys mixing green with a red. I'm actually going to, let's take a red. And you'll see, obviously, depending on which green, this is a very bluish green. You get a more yellow green, which I'll show you quickly for a comparison. Let's pick any red here. I don't know if you guys can still see my color palette. Just picking a red. This is kind of a cooler red as well. And then mixing them. And you'll see I'm just using my brush there. Again, putting in some of that green. And you'll see from this dried layer, it gradiates between them. But this color is already closer to kind of like a muted purple. And if you line the two colors up correctly, I don't know if these two will do that, but you can actually mix a beautiful gray using 2 complementary colors. Let's quickly see if I can. If you see it's too red, you add a bit more green. It's going to be very dark. Yeah, this is almost neutral. Let's see. So it's not very dark, and then we apply a bit of water magic, and there we go. And you'll see that's an almost, it's just a beautifully slightly blue tint of gray. And that's because I used the 2 complementary colors of green and red. So that's what happens if you add a lot of the complementary color, you're going to end up with a gray in the middle. You can see there. Okay. Does it matter? If you want to pick up, just to repeat the question, cloth versus paper towel. So I actually have my cloth here somewhere. This is my cloth for actually painting. I had the paper towel to demonstrate to you guys. But to pick up paint off of your page, you're going to battle with this because it's thick and bulky and not easy to manipulate into what you want to do. So if you want to do correction on your paper, have some paper towel handy. Paper towel is also more usable than toilet paper, but toilet paper is nice to blot textures out of your wet paint. So it's different effects for different things. But if you want to clean your page, I would use paper towel to pick up your paint. But I actually like using a cloth because I just keep on reusing it. You can see it's got a rainbow of colors. It's just a microfiber cloth from the tile section at Checkers. So yeah, my favorite. Yes, in terms of reusing and being environmentally friendly, but this little paper towel has been on my desk for a while, and I just let it dry and then I use it again. So you don't have to chuck your paper towel immediately. All right, sure, time goes quickly. So this is how you would play with 2 or 3 colors. We've only used 2 now. A quick last example that I want to show you guys is working with what's the fancy word for it is a triad, but it's really just picking 3 colors. And you can start with what's close to your primary colors. So if you remember from school, our primaries are yellow. I'm just picking a yellow off my palette. This one is Hansa yellow from White Knights. And I want to show you, if you'll see also on the paper towel or on your cloth, the water should run clear when you're cleaning it like this. I was seeing yellow droplets just now, so I knew it wasn't quite clean. I'm going to go for a pinkish red, just to be a little bit different. Oh, that's a red. Anyway, my pinkish red is on a different palette. This is good. So there's a nice red. This one is called Madder Lake. I want to show you. You can see there's still a bit of pink on my brush. I'm just dabbing it off and then getting clean water. And let's take a nice bright blue. And as you play with this exercise, you're going to see some primaries mix more beautifully than others. And it's because each color has an underlying temperature to it. So this yellow is technically a bit on the warmer side than a lemon yellow would be. I think it's a bit difficult to see here, but if you had a comparison, this red is already on the warmer side than our pinkish red here. And this is also a cooler blue where you get a warmer blue like ultramarine. And that's something we can cover on a different section. But if you mix cool with cool colors and warm with warm, they make a brighter, more vibrant mix, typically than mixing a warm with a cool color. And what I enjoy doing with this is I'm just going to do a rough circle, kind of a play on a color wheel. So I start with one color. And this is a quick way to see the color variations that you can get. So I'm just starting there. Actually, now I'm not cleaning my brush even, just so that I can go straight into that mix. And you can see it's starting to mix a nice orange. Now I want to clean it because I don't want some of that yellow contaminating the next part that'll have blue in it. And this is very rough. You're going to see, I mean, no engineer will have this circle on their drawings. My husband's having a laugh, but I'm going to add the blue. So I really want you guys to just relax with these kinds of exercises. If you like doing a square, do a square. If you want to do a triangle, do a triangle. If you see they're not mixing, take a clean brush and encourage the paint, add a little bit, and you're going to get a feel for what's going on. Oh, that's a beautiful, like a moody purple. So what I like to do is if I see that color, I like to just drop it in a little swatch next to it. And then we're quickly going to finish with our green. So I want some more blue over there. And this part would probably have dried a little bit. So I'm going to add some yellow just to activate it again. And if your paint is dried, you can typically work it gently with your brush just to activate that paint on the page again, and it will start moving. And there you can see there's a really beautiful green there, which if you compare it to this green, it's green, but it's completely different. I'll zoom it in a second. I just want to show you guys comparison there. I had a lot of water, so this one is coming up very light, but there you can see the different colors. So that's a really quick color wheel. And then you can see the different colors you can get from that. And it's a nice way to just play and to know your color combinations. Before we move on to a couple of questions on the project, you guys might be wondering, why do I need to bother with mixing colors like these if I have an orange in my palette and I have a green in my palette and I have a purple? What this does, if you use a limited palette of anything from 2 to 3 to 5 colors, and you use those colors to mix some of the other colors in your painting, it's a lot more harmonious. It's like those colors just naturally gel together because they've got an element of each in them. Where if you were to use, and you can try that, a lot of the starter paint sets have 8 or 12 colors. So if you were to use a fresh paint from the tube or from the palette for every element, a green, a yellow, a blue, an orange, it's going to look a bit bright. You're going to feel like something's missing and it's too much. And that's because you're missing your color harmony. And this orange is quite vibrant, but 2 other colors will mix a more muted orange, or adding blue, which is a complementary of orange, because you can see here it's opposite. It's going to tone that orange down beautifully. So, you know, then I can get, let me see if I can quickly demonstrate that for a last round. I'm just quickly mixing it up. So here's my orange. So you'll see I'm just working it on the page like I'll do it on my palette, getting a bit of an orange. And if I now add a blue to this, we're going to get a muted, often a brown, or this gives a very interesting kind of a gray-green color. So if you're going to use gray in your sketch, instead of using a watered down black or gray, use something that you've mixed, because then that adds harmony to your painting. Right, I'm quickly going to take a sip of water. It covers the swatches and things that I wanted to do. I'll show you guys a color chart just now. Yes, I have experimented with a lot of different papers. So I used to have, I can show you a little bit, just grabbing a stack here. This is some of it. This is a lot of it's from Gymnets. This is a lovely paper. But my point of this is, like, Prime Art was one of my earlier go-to cheaper papers. This is Hot Press. Hot Press is a really smooth paper. It has no texture at all, so you have very less of this effect going on. But it is nice if you want very precise details. So Prime Art, or this Aqua brand, is a nice cheap one in your shops that's good as long as you get 300 GSM. That's the most important thing. It's the thickness of the paper. Anything less than 300 buckles a lot more easily. Your real, like, giants of paper is what would be called 100% cotton paper. So this is cellulose. It's just wood pulp. There's no cotton in it. So there's a lot less flexibility for working layers, for creating smooth washes if I made a mistake. But I actually like the texture of this Canson paper. And this is my current favorite cheap paper because it's affordable. It works out to 5 Rand an A4, where this one, for example, is 10 Rand an A4 in a shop. I like the sketchbook format because I can either tear out a page if I want to. It's perforated, you guys won't see. Or I can have my sketchbooks like this. And then if you're going to do more complicated things like landscapes and that kind of thing, you'll start looking at things like arches that's 100% pure cotton, but you pay for that. I think a pad like this will now cost you 600 Rand for 20 sheets, but you can do a lot with it. Arches is really great. Fabriano Artistico is the other 100% one, and then Waterford. I got a Gymnets the other day because they didn't have stock of Fabriano. Is actually my current favorite 100% cotton. But if you can get this Canson when the lockdown is over, you'll be set. I love painting florals on this one. The textures of florals on it is actually really beautiful for me. Those of you who are on my Instagram, the world map that we did with the flowers, I specifically chose the Canson above 100% cotton, just because I like the texture more. So yeah, but any more questions?
Desiree asks about the top of the
page. And it depends on what I'm doing. So for me, I've got a sketchbook dedicated to play, and because I know with this it's going to be color swatching and color play, I want it in my sketchbook because I want to refer back to it. Even I'll give you guys a quick page through. Let me just see if this is dry. Things like this was the Skillshare class that I did the other day. This was playing with an idea. all these kinds of things. I just keep in the book because I like being able to go back to them. This was from another class, but then a lot of my, like the current landscapes project, I've been painting on little pieces of paper that I've now closed off when I put these down, but I'll show you guys just now that I cut these up. Here's one as well. Yeah, so I tear out, I've got a second sketchbook that I use for tearing out my paper just because I like keeping the sketchbook thick. And I'll tear out and I'll cut it up using a guillotine, or you can use a precision craft knife. And then I like this size a lot. This is A6. So you'll cut A3 into half, again into half, and then into quarters, which is kind of like a postcard size. So it really depends on what you feel like. Yeah, I can't always justify it, but it depends a bit on feeling.
Question on bamboo pads.
Oh, yes. I've tried bamboo, hearing that it's better and it should really be good at absorbing water, but it wasn't my my experience. I felt it buckled very easily, but the bamboo I could get was 200 GSM. I just want to go back to our swatch page. So that's where I realized 200 GSM is a lot. There's a big difference between 200 and 300 GSM. So if you find 300 GSM bamboo paper, I would definitely give it a go. I think it is a nice, affordable or more affordable option, but not if it's less than 300 GSM. Okay. What's here? Oh yes, I'll have to find my palette for an example just to get back to an earlier question, because my toddler is currently using it. I just quickly want to unstack my stack to show you guys the mixing chart. So I've been working with a couple of examples from different sketchbooks. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll take a photo and send it to you guys on email. Now, this was the starting idea that got me onto this. The reason being, I used to do programming. I was a software developer, so I'm all about rows and blocks and specifics. But when I paint, that's not always what I want to do. So this is a really great exercise because you make 2 rows with your different colors, and then the idea is that you mix each of the colors together. So you're going to get the overall mix of all of the colors that you can make from a palette. So it's very insightful, but it can take a lot of time without having really created anything. So I've started, you can see here, this one isn't finished. I've got one, my sketchbook that's bigger, that's drawn but not started. And at some point I just started playing with these circles and then just drawing color out of them into a texture. I'm going to show you that now. Because this is what gave me joy. You see, starting here rather than starting at this mixing chart. But there is value in this just to understand the principle of it. So I just wanted to mention that as the starting point for where this started. But you'll see, I love this of like playing out with the textures. And those of you who have seen my Skillshare class, I've taken this kind of play, tear out the page or have it as a loose sheet to begin with, and then you cut this up into smaller cards, which then become beautiful. You transform all of these little textures into something that's beautiful in its own right. Yeah, so we're at 5 to 9. If you guys are okay that we run a little bit over 9 o'clock, it won't take long. I just want to show you some abstract blotting using a piece of glad wrap. Okay, if you need to pop out, I completely understand that. I now have my paper in my hands. Give me a second. Sorry, I misplaced my paper in between. Hey, I'm loving it. Larika, thank you for showing. Thank you so much. Yes, I would love to, if you guys want to share your pictures. I don't know if all of you are on Instagram. If you're not, you're welcome to send me an email. Or on Instagram, please tag me at Handful of Joe. And I think let's call it Paint with Joe. I'll see if that hashtag exists. But I'll just love to see you guys work, because obviously I can't see everyone right now. Okay, so my piece of glad wrap was here. Have I misplaced that as well? Welcome to my life. I've been shifting things around. There we go. I found it. I'm quite glad that you don't see the rest of my desk. So as a full-time mom with very limited time to paint, I've started a painting habit of things that I can do in 15 minutes or less. So what's fun about this, and I'm going to use the colors that we were working with now. I want to go with our green and purple and red mix. Is there a question?
I'm just asking if you've worked on anything other than paper, like stretch paper.
Oh, I have actually. I've worked on I've used watercolor on a canvas, like your deco art or decorate canvases you'll get at any art store. It was fun, but because it's not very absorbent, your watercolor reacts differently. So this is hanging close to my kitchen. This is on a canvas, but I wouldn't recommend starting with this because the water flows differently and you've kind of got to grab it and work it. So if you're not used to what it's doing on paper, you might struggle. But yes, you can. This was just I don't think it's got the brand anymore, but it was probably the decorate blocks that you get from an art store. So yes, you can do that, and it's beautiful because then you can have your blocks up on your wall. I still meant to paint more blocks, but I haven't yet. Okay, I'm quickly going to show you guys this. So what I would normally do, you don't have to worry about too much, but I use masking tape, just cheap, any masking tape from hardware store or art store. And this just keeps the paper from buckling too much when I add water. And what I want to go for here is to trick my brain into not knowing what I'm going to paint. Because if I don't know what I'm going to paint, I can relax into it, just play with the colors and just let the painting dictate where it wants to go and really surprise me at the end of the day. I just want to move my jars so that you guys can see my paper more than my arm. It's also fun using a sponge. This was just a normal, yes, thank you for moving my coffee even further away. This is a normal bar sponge from Discam, or you can use a kitchen sponge. I just cut it up with normal scissors. I'll show you the textures that makes. And again, the coffee painting I did of my husband's face, I started with a brush and my brain goes, it's like a pencil, it has to be specific, and you get stuck. Where if you do this, it gives you freedom to play. So what we're going to do, wet your paint, again, because it does dry quite quickly in our South Africa weather. If you don't have a spray bottle, just use your brush and clean water like this to kind of just, whatever colors you're going to be using, put some water on it first and then start working it. And you can either use a palette, or I'm just going to pick up straight from my colors. I just want to show you, this is, for example, a makeshift palette, Danya, on your question. This was for my Skillshare class and for landscapes that I was trying. I just squeeze out the paints on a side plate, and my husband's laughing because we have a detriment of, or a lack of, side plates now because there's 3 or 4 of them at my desk. But you can use this as a mixing palette if you don't have anything at home. All right, so I've got my glad wrap. I'm just flattening it over my palm to have that ready. And I'm going to take my spray bottle or your brush and just randomly wet my paper. If you don't have something to stick it to, don't worry. What's nice about masonite board, this brown board, is I can lift it. If your paper is just loose, that's fine. And you can even add your brush with a little bit of clean water, even splatter some. And you're going to see now what happens. This is a great way to get to know the flow of paint on your paper as well. And I'm going to start with our green. Let's see what this is on the screen. And I'm just putting a nice thick bit of color on my glad wrap, not worrying too much about what goes where. I don't want to add too much water here because I've already got water on my paper. So the moment I add the paint there, it's going to thin it out already. And I can see from the shine on my paper that it's already drying, so I'm fixing that. And these are just things that you get to learn to pay attention to as you go with, as you practice. And now pick up some of my other color, and I'm going to be careful to not mix them too much on my Glad wrap, I'm just kind of using a dabbing motion of purple on the one side, and I'm going to add a bit of red on the other. And just a little bit, because I've decided the emerald green is going to be the hero of the show, just decided that spur of the moment. And then for the fun part, you take this and you plonk it down. And you can kind of work it if you want to. If you see there's not a lot of color, for example, there's not a lot. So I can now either put more color on the Glad wrap, or I can just go in and let's just use the side of my mixing plate and mix it up a little bit more thinly. So pay attention to the consistency of your paint. You'll see that it goes kind of from a honey thick consistency to cream to milk to tea to water. And I'm just tapping my brush to flick color onto that page. And you'll notice that there where it's wet, it's spreading. But because it's not all that wet, it's not flooding the paper. And I'm feeling like a little bit more of purple. I'll just pick that right out of the palette, and I'm just going to make little flicking motions. And you can just do this to get to know your brush. I'm just using the side of my brush. I'm going to add a little bit more water here because I feel that's too dark. And I'm quickly going to show you the sponge. So at the moment, my sponge is dry. I'm flicking it up again. And you can do whatever motion you like. And if you like a texture, repeat it and see if you can make it work. Again, I kind of like that grassy texture. One thing is if you take a sponge and you kind of swirl it on the paper, that makes a beautiful texture as well. And because this is dry, it's picking up some of the pigment. And I want to add just a dash of red. And don't try and fill up all your white space. White on the paper is beautiful. You want to keep it there to kind of keep a sparkle to your page. So I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. So I just wet my sponge and I plonked it straight into the thick paint. And I'm just kind of playing and seeing what's happening. And that's done for me. I'm not going to add more to that. You can let that dry and do something over that. You can scan this in and create it, use it behind something else. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I just want you guys to see the texture and the fun playing with some Glad wrap. And there you have it. And that could be some flowers there and a grassy field or whatever. So you can now take a micron pen or any pen really. Let me quickly show you the microns. There's my 5. So this is what the Bigma micron looks like. It's a waterproof pen, which is lovely. Come focus. I'll send in the link, but yeah, so you get them in different sizes, and this is my Lamy Safari. What's fun with this ink is if I now go into the wet paint, let's just do some doodles, you'll see it pushing away the wet paint. If it's dry, it has a different effect. And that's true whether you're using waterproof ink or not. So I would then just go in and kind of emphasize what I see in this painting already and pick 2 or 3 elements like the grass and a flower and a specific style of leaf and just doodle that in there. And yeah, it's really loose and fun. And the moment you start thinking too much about what you're doing, that's the time to stop. I'm going to leave it there. We're at 9:05. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to with theory and demonstrating. But yeah, if those of you who need to drop off, but you have questions, feel free to pop me an email. I'll also be sending out a feedback form. If you're interested in doing more of these textures, not with a Glad wrap, but just with your paint and a brush, I did a Skillshare class earlier this year that I'll resend you the link. You'll get 2 months free access. You don't have to pay for it, but you can go and play with this, and it's so fun and it's so freeing, and it's such a nice way to pick 2 or 3 colors and just see what they do on the page. I just want to show you here what's happening there, all the colors here, and again, everything there. And it's it's just so fun and surprising to see what comes up. Yeah.
The palette for tubes.
Right, my husband has located the missing palette. You can see this one is well used. It looks like this when you close it, and for the longest time this was my go-to palettes. They're not all that expensive. I think this one was 70 Rand, and it's got a lot of wells. So then you squeeze out your tubes here, and you let it dry overnight for 24 to 48 hours until you can see the surface is dry. I recently read a tip that says when it's starting to set, so it's not sticky on the top, you kind of press it down with your finger to really set it into that plastic. And then I use these bigger areas to mix on. So this is what you would use if you wanted to squeeze out your tubes, or if in the meantime you want to use something, a good old ceramic plate. White is best because you can see the color, but if you have something else, you can probably make that work too. Okay. I'm going to switch back to the face view and the full gallery, and then I'll maybe give you guys a chance to hold up your stuff if you want to.
Yeah, right.
My coffee is cooked. I haven't drank any of my coffee for the rest of the session. Oh, this is very appropriate. My husband did Artist Cafe. Or they also say video, but why is it not showing? Start video. Yeah, can you guys see me? Artist Cafe from Clarence, one of our favorite places. Okay, can everyone see me again? Give me a thumbs up. Cool. If you want to hold up what you've painted and I can quickly see in the gallery view, I'd love that. That'd be so cool. Oh, Marita, awesome. Oh, I love that texture. Oh, red, beautiful. Anke, Eloise. Gideon is beautiful. I can see that green abstract. Oh, that's beautiful. That is so, so gorgeous. Jennifer. Yeah, there's this beautiful blue-green blot going on here, but it doesn't show the name on the video at the moment. You guys, you did fantastic. I'm seeing so many beautiful things, and try it. If you now cut that paper up into little gift tag sizes, like your typical gift tag, and you write someone's name, beautiful Larika, I love those flowers, well done. And I've been thinking with this lockdown thing, you know, write a message to someone and take a picture of it next to a cup of coffee and say, I'm missing you, can we video call? Or, you know, little things like that just keeps the human touch. And what's lovely for me about this is you can make something beautiful. You can stick it to cardboard or nice colored paper and write something on it. It's going to be cheaper than a SPA or a CNA card. Make sure to sign your work with your name and the date, and then someone knows that it was uniquely created for them. So yeah, that's my heart behind it. I love that color swatch. Eloise, there next to you, your husband's holding it up, or your partner. Yeah, and I saw the other side, flip it around, it's beautiful. I love this gallery view, it's great. Yeah, is there any last questions that I missed in the process? Anything you guys want to add? I love those color swatches. Oh, look at that, Neil, beautiful, the gradation that you got there. That's brilliant. Those guys of you who had trouble with the darkness of your paints, do you feel that this color swatch exercise will help you to not go too dark next time, to have better control? I can't remember all the names who did that, but I see some nodding. Yeah, Jennifer, beautiful variation there. I see that. Neil, thank you for that confirmation. Okay, cool, guys. I think that's it. Even though you showed me, I would still love to see photos of your work either on Instagram or whatever. And yeah, if you guys, I just quickly want to say, you'll see the Skillshare link often in my work. And it's not just because I have a class on there. Skillshare got me to the level where I'm at now, because I started with the free trial. Someone who's on Skillshare can give you 2 months for free. Otherwise you only get 1. And there is everything on there, whether you do watercolors or ink or gouache or whether you write. And that's what I want to share with you guys, especially if you're looking for new inspiration. Beautiful, Diane, thank you. Yeah, so you'll see that often, but just because if you want to go have fun, go check out Skillshare. And please, if you come across questions or you get stuck, message me, email me,
Instagram me, whatever. You guys got my cell phone number now as well. I love engaging with other creatives. So thanks, Nicole. Yeah, the glad wrap really is fun. Marita, another session on paint movement on paper. Yes, I'll look at another session if you guys are up for it. We can try one in a week, another next week somewhere. Same type of vibe. I'll set up the feedback form either tonight or tomorrow and try and set it up that I can see what's the biggest need for the next class. So then I'll try and cover now that what we've done today to follow up on that. So yeah, I see a lot of another sessions going on there. So definitely I'll keep you guys in touch and I'll let you know. Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for sticking through with a couple of technical issues. You guys were my guinea pigs. So we appreciate it and love to see your work. Thank you. Awesome. Bye.